Okay, real talk for a second. You get paid, money hits your account, and somehow, within 2 weeks, you're already stressed, wondering where it all went. You didn't go on vacation. You didn't buy anything crazy. But the account is already looking thin, and payday still feels like forever away. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone, and you are absolutely in the right place. Welcome to Wealthcraft, where smart money starts here. Today, I want to share something really personal with you. I tried one of the most popular budgeting methods out there, the 50-30-20 rule, for an entire 30 days, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. It did not go the way I expected. Here's the thing. What I learned from that failure changed how I think about money forever. So whether you've tried budgeting before and given up, you're just starting out and don't know where to begin, stick with me because by the end of this video, you're going to walk away with a real plan that actually fits your life. To start from the beginning. What even is the 50-30-20 rule? Sounds fancy, but it's actually really simple. The idea is that you take your monthly take-home pay. That's the money that actually hits your bank account after taxes, and you divide it into 3 buckets. 50% of it goes to your needs, 30% goes to your wants, and 20% goes to savings or paying off debt. That's it. Super clean, super simple. When I first heard about it, I thought, okay, this is the one. This is the budget that's finally going to fix everything. I grabbed a piece of paper, wrote down my income, did the math, and felt genuinely excited for about 4 days. So let me walk you through exactly what happened, because I think a lot of you are going to see yourselves in this story. My take-home pay at the time was about $4,000 a month. So by the rule, $2,000 should have gone to needs, $1,200 to wants, and $800 to savings. Sounds reasonable on paper, right? But here's where things usually go wrong. Most people, myself included, don't actually know what counts as a need versus a want. And when you don't have that clarity, the whole system falls apart within the first week. Let me give you a real example. My rent was $1,400, to 70% of my needs budget gone before I've bought a single grocery item. Then add utilities, electric, internet, phone, that's another $250. Then car insurance and a small car payment, another $300. That's already $1,950 just in basic fixed expenses. I've got $50 left in my needs bucket, and I haven't eaten anything yet. Now, obviously, rent and groceries are both needs. The 50-30-20 rule doesn't care about your rent price. It doesn't care that you live in a city where a one-bedroom goes for $1,500. It just says 50%. If your actual fixed expenses eat up more than 50% of your income, the math just doesn't work. And nobody really talks about that. But here's the mistake most people make with this rule. They see it fail in week 1, they feel like something is wrong with them, and they quit. They think, I'm bad with money. Budgeting just isn't for me. And that's the real damage. It's not that the rule is completely worthless. It's that people apply it like it's a one-size-fits-all answer when it was really designed as a general guideline. So don't walk away from this thinking budgeting doesn't work. Walk away understanding that the method has to fit your actual numbers. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now let's talk about the 30% wants category, because this is where I personally went off the rails. So after my needs were covered, even though they were blowing past 50%, I told myself the leftover was my wants money. Eating out, subscriptions, the occasional Amazon order. And I'll be honest, I was not tracking any of it in real time. I was just kind of estimating in my head. Does that sound familiar? Most people budget in their head and then wonder why the plan never works. Your brain is not a spreadsheet. It is terrible at tracking spending. Do you think you spent $40 eating out, and when you actually look at your bank statement, it was $160? I've been there. Most people have been there. Most people have been there. 30% wants number also assumes your needs are sitting comfortably at 50%. For me, my needs were already at around 55% of my income. So now my wants bucket had mathematically shrunk, but my actual behavior hadn't caught up with that reality yet. I was still spending like I had $1,200 for wants when I really had closer to $800. And the savings goal, the 20%, I got pushed to later. And as most of us know, later has a funny way of never arriving. Here's what actually works. And this is the shift I want you to make in your thinking right now. Instead of starting with percentages, start with your actual numbers. I call this the reverse budget, or what some people call paying yourself first, but let me make it even simpler. You start with what you earn, subtract what you absolutely cannot avoid, rent, utilities, insurance, groceries, minimum debt payments, and then you decide on your savings number before you touch anything else, not after, before. Whatever is left after that is what you actually have for the fun stuff. Let me show you how that looks in real life. Let's say you take home $3,500 a month. First, you write out every single fixed expense you have. Rent $1,200, electricity $80, internet $55, phone bill $60, car insurance $120, groceries around $350, and yes, groceries are a fixed need, even though the amount can vary. It puts your fixed needs at about $1,865. Next, you decide your savings number. Here's the key. It does not have to be 20% right away. If 20% feels impossible right now, that's okay. Start with $50 a month. Seriously? $50 is not going to change your life overnight, but the habit of saving before you spend will. So let's say you commit to saving $150 a month. Transfer that out of your checking account on payday automatically before you see it. before you can spend it. Now you have 3,500 minus 1,865 for needs, minus 150 for savings. It leaves you with about 1,485 for everything else. Your lifestyle spending, eating out, entertainment, clothes, all of it. Now here's the part where we talk about something that nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to. If that 1,485 disappears and you don't know where it went, the problem isn't your income. The problem is the gap between what you think you're spending and what you're actually spending. And closing that gap is the real work of budgeting. It's not about the percentages, it's about awareness. So let me give you a practical challenge. For just the next 7 days, not 30, just 7, I want you to write down every single purchase you make. Not judge it, not restrict it yet, just write it down. Use your phone's notes app, use a piece of paper, use whatever. But every coffee, every fast food stop, every random Amazon charge, write it down. At the end of 7 days, look at the list and find the category where you spent the most money that surprised you. For most people, it's food, either eating out or the combination of eating out plus groceries, which often overlaps in ways that are shocking. For some people, it's subscriptions they forgot they had. For others, it's small daily purchases that add up, a drink here, a snack there, that total a few $100s by the end of the month. There's a mistake most people make when they see those numbers. They go into punishment mode. You say, I'm cutting out every restaurant meal, every coffee, every fun thing until I'm back on track. And that lasts about 5 days before the restriction becomes too much, and they swing back to overspending harder than before. That's the financial equivalent of a crash diet. It doesn't work long-term because it's built on willpower, not systems. What you want instead is intentional spending. Do you decide in advance how much eating out is okay for you this month? Do you pick a number? Let's say $200. And when that $200 is used up, you cook at home for the rest of the month. It's not because you're punishing yourself, because you made a plan and you're honoring it. That shift in thinking from restriction to intention is genuinely one of the most powerful things you can do for your finances. We also talk about something that the 50-30-20 rule completely ignores: irregular expenses. These are the expenses that don't show up every single month but destroy your budget when they do. Car registration, a dentist appointment, a birthday gift, a car repair, an unexpected medical bill. If you don't plan for these, every time one hits, it feels like a financial emergency. And because it feels like an emergency, you put it on a credit card and tell yourself you'll pay it off next month. And then next month, something else comes up. And suddenly you have a credit card balance that grows a little bit every month and you can't figure out why. The fix for this is something called a sinking fund. I know that sounds complicated, but it's genuinely one of the simplest concepts in personal finance. A sinking fund is just money you set aside a little at a time for an expense you know is coming eventually. For example, let's say you know your car registration is $300 and it comes due once a year. Instead of scrambling for $300 in October, you put $25 a month into a separate savings account starting in January. By October, you have the $300 sitting there waiting. No stress, no credit card debt, no feeling like the universe is out to get you. You can do this for anything. Holiday gifts. If you typically spend around $600 in December on presents, start putting $50 a month aside in January. By December, you have your $600, and you're not starting the new year in debt from Christmas shopping. Car maintenance. Even if nothing breaks down, tires, oil changes, and brakes cost money over the course of a year. Set aside $30 to $50 a month, and when those expenses come, you're covered. Medical costs, even with insurance, co-pays and prescriptions add up. Still set aside every month means a doctor's visit doesn't derail your entire budget. Here's what actually works when you set up sinking funds. To open a separate savings account, most banks and credit unions will let you open multiple savings accounts for free and label it something specific. Some people name their accounts by what they're saving for. Car fund, holiday fund, emergency buffer. When you can see the purpose, you're much less likely to raid it for something else. And most importantly, automate the transfers. Set it up so that on payday, a specific amount automatically moves to each account. You never see it in your checking account, so you never feel tempted to spend it. Now let's get back to the 50-30-20 experiment and what I actually changed. After week 2 of failing with the original percentages, I stopped trying to force my expenses into those buckets and started what I now think of as a zero-based monthly audit. Once a month, I sit down with my bank statement. This takes about 20 minutes, and I look at every transaction. I don't do this to feel guilty, I do it to understand my patterns. Because you can't change what you don't understand. In that first audit, I found $230 in subscriptions I had either forgotten about or was barely using. Streaming service from a free trial I never canceled. An app subscription I downloaded once for a specific thing and never used again. Gym membership I was paying for even though I hadn't gone in 3 months. $130 was money I could redirect immediately without changing my lifestyle at all. Subscriptions are one of the biggest silent budget killers for people in their 20s and 30s right now. Companies literally design their billing to be forgettable. Do yourself a favor and go look at your bank or credit card statements right now, or right after this video, and find every recurring charge. For each one, ask yourself, have I used this in the last 30 days? If the answer is no, cancel it today. The second thing I changed was the way I handled my grocery budget. I was spending close to $550 a month on groceries for 2 people, which felt normal until I realized that a lot of that was impulse purchases and food that went bad before we used it. It's not because we were buying fancy food, just because we were shopping without a plan. Now we meal plan once a week. It takes about 15 minutes. Write a specific list and only buy what's on the list. This one habit brought our grocery spending down to around $350. That's $200 a month back in our budget just from planning ahead. Over a year, that's $2,400. That's a solid emergency fund. That's a vacation. That's a real dent in a credit card balance. From planning meals for 15 minutes a week. This is where things usually go wrong with people who try to budget. To focus on big dramatic changes. I'm going to stop eating out entirely. I'm going to get a second job. I'm going to sell stuff online. When the real wins are usually hiding in the ordinary, boring details of everyday spending. The subscriptions you forgot about. The grocery shopping without a list. The coffee that you actually enjoy, but you're buying it on autopilot, even on the mornings when you could have just made it at home. I'm not saying eliminate all of these things. I'm saying be intentional about which ones you actually want and which ones you're just spending on out of habit or convenience. Talk about debt for a minute, because I know a lot of you watching this are dealing with it, and it affects how everything else in your budget works. Whether it's credit cards, student loans, a car payment, or medical debt, carrying debt means a portion of your future income is already spoken for, and that can feel really suffocating. Here's the mindset shift I want you to make. Debt payoff is not a punishment. It is a wealth building strategy. Every dollar you pay toward a high interest debt, like a credit card charging you 20 or 25% interest. That's essentially a guaranteed 20 to 25% return on your money, because that's the interest you're stopping from compounding against you. You will not find a savings account, a CD, or a low-risk investment that reliably gives you 25%. Paying off high-interest debt is one of the best financial moves you can make. If you have multiple debts, there are two popular strategies. First is the debt avalanche, where you put all your extra money toward the debt with the highest interest rate first while paying minimums on everything else. It just saves you the most money in interest over time. The second is the debt snowball, where you pay off the smallest balance first regardless of interest rate. It just feels more motivating because you eliminate accounts faster and get those small wins that keep you going. Neither is wrong. The best strategy is the one you will actually stick to. Some people need the mathematical efficiency of the avalanche. Some people need the psychological momentum of the snowball. Know yourself. Now, here's something I want to address because I hear this all the time. People say, I don't make enough money to save anything. And I understand why it feels that way. I surely do. But most of the time, not always, but most of the time, the issue isn't that there's nothing to save. The issue is that saving is happening last instead of first. When you save what's left over after spending, there's almost never anything left over. When you save first and then spend what remains, your lifestyle adjusts around the smaller number in ways that are less painful than you expect. Start with $10 or $20 a paycheck if that's all you can do. The amount matters less than the habit. You are training yourself to be someone who saves. That identity shift is what creates long-term financial change. And look, I want to be honest with you. There are real situations where someone's income is genuinely not enough to cover their basic needs plus any savings. That is a real and difficult situation. And if that's where you are, budgeting alone is not the full answer. The income side of the equation matters just as much as the spending side. That might look like asking for a raise, picking up extra hours, developing a skill that leads to higher paying work, or starting a small side hustle. These are bigger conversations, and I'll be making dedicated videos on all of them. For the majority of people watching this, there is room to work with. It just requires intention and some honest tracking. So let me bring this all together because I promised you a real plan and I want to deliver on that. Here's your simple starting point. This week, go through your last month of bank and credit card statements and write down every expense. Treat each one in one of three categories: fixed needs that you have to pay, lifestyle spending that you choose, and savings or debt payments. Just categorize and look at the numbers without judgment. Find the one category where you're most surprised by how much you spent. Make one specific change in that category. Set up one automatic savings transfer for next payday, even if it's just $25. And if you have subscriptions you're not using, cancel at least one today. That's it. 5 actions. None of them require a finance degree. None of them require perfect income. They just require you deciding that your financial future is worth 20 minutes of attention this week. And I genuinely believe you're here watching this because you've already made that decision. The 50-30-20 rule didn't fail me because budgeting doesn't work. It failed me because I applied a rigid template to a flexible, messy, real human life without understanding the principles behind it. Once I understood those principles, spend less than you earn, save before you spend, track where your money actually goes, and plan for irregular expenses, I was able to build a system that worked for my specific numbers, my specific habits, and my specific goals. You can do the same thing. If this video gave you even one idea that you can use today, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below and tell me, what is your biggest money challenge right now? Is it saving? Paying off debt? Figuring out where your money keeps disappearing to? Write it down. I read every single comment and I plan my future videos based on what you're actually dealing with. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because every week on this channel, we break down real money topics in plain language so that you can take real action. No fluff, no jargon, just practical steps you can actually use. You've got this. I'll see you in the next one.